A very good morning to you all. I welcome you back to the second session of the day 2. So we have with us Bhanu, who will continue his session.
Bhanuji, you are not audible.
Okay.
Now it's working.
Okay. Just I was asking, like, shall I start or shall we wait? Like, how should I?
Bhanu,
Yes, ma'am.
you couldn't hear me? Wasn't I audible?
You were audible. I think there was issue in my mic, in my speaker. I don't know. Like, may I start now?
We can start, Bhanu.
Okay. Okay. Can you just enable screen sharing? My screen sharing is not enabled.
Enabled. You can try.
Yeah. Thank you. So I think I am. My voice is clear, and you are able to see my screen. Yeah, okay, thank you. Okay, just 1 second. Mhm. Let's see. Okay, I got some message. Okay, thank you for the acknowledgement. So I'll start with the next session and we will continue with the terminologies we said we actually use in a data sheet and which you might be needing to design your own battery pack. So next, let's come to the shelf life or calendar life. So what is basically a shelf life or calendar life? So like everything has a life. Similarly, a lithium cell also have a life, right? You can't expect a lithium cell to always give you that kind of capacity. So what generally manufacturers do, they say, okay, after 3 years, it will have a life, it will have a, let's say, 70% state of health. That means uh, after 3 years, you will be having a cell which will be 70% healthy. That is, it will be having 70% of the total capacity which manufacturer said it would have. So that's how we define shelf life, calendar life. Now this becomes very important in the case of electric vehicles. Why it becomes important? Because you need to tell to the user that okay, your car can only go or bike can go to this much only. After that you need to change your battery. uh, because you don't face such problem in case of IC engine, it can easily go up to 10 years, 15 years. But in case of this, you need to specify. And in this also due to self discharge, you can't expect, okay, 3 years down the line, you have not started your electric car and then you are expecting, okay, still it will perform. No, it deteriorates with time, whether you use or not use, it will still deteriorate. So that's why we define shelf life or calendar life. And similarly, like for humans, it's 80 years or 70 years, whatever. And heard, I read somewhere that if we eat foods with higher shelf life, we reduce our own shelf lives because they contain chemicals and preservatives. Anyways, so next is the state of health. What is state of health? Uh, Again, it is how healthy your battery is, how of your mobile or of your laptop. What does that mean? There are two ways to calculate. One is we calculate what is the available capacity, what is the rated capacity. Let's say I had a 100 pack and now its capacity is 80 Ah. So its state of health will be 80%. Similarly, you may see that, even in your phones or laptops, like you can always check the state of health of your laptop or phone. There is a software you can always, 1 second. So like when you go to this kind of, there are softwares which calculate state of health. So they will give you like, for example, VL level in my battery is 1.93%. So I have 98% of state of health. Even in iPhone, you find in battery diagnostics, you get how much state of health you have. So this is a simple things which are used in EVs, but you might be a bit aware about them, unconsciously aware. Next is the state of energy, state of power, and we'll talk about specific power and specific energy also. So what is the state of energy? So it is basically that how much available energy you have at that time upon total energy. It's similar to the state of charge. What does that mean? If I have 50 Ah of available energy out, I have pack of 100 Ah. So at that time, I have 80% left. Like in a water bottle, if I have just consumed 20% of water, so my 80% is the state of energy. What is the power? How much power you can give to the load? Now you may think that how do you define this power? So we define this power. What happens in a lithium ion cell? There is always a under voltage cutoff point. You can't discharge a lithium cell beyond a cutoff point. Why you can't discharge? Because some kind of internal reactions takes place, and that is related to lithium reduction potential. Now, for example, my under voltage cutoff is 3 volts, let's say, and I can't charge below that, and my battery is, let's say, 4 volts, at 4 volt. So I need to make sure that my current is such that my IR drop, the IR drop across my battery is not below 3 volts, because if that happens, it will damage my battery. So every BMS calculates the state of power. Okay, this much power I can take out of the battery so that it doesn't process the under voltage cutoff. So you can see this analogy. Power is basically at the instant how much current you can give, and energy is what, how much capacity you have in a bottle. Now specific power, specific. Now these two things you will generally find in a data sheet. Even the data sheet we will study, I think there's that. What is specific power and specific energy? When you put the word specific, it becomes per unit kg. I think there's bit disturbance. Can you please mute whoever is on unmute? Thank you. So in specific power or specific energy, we use the unit as per unit kg. So if I'm saying specific power, it is the watt of energy you can take per kg of the battery pack. I think, please, if somebody is on unmute, please mute. Yeah, I'm getting some traffic noises. Please unmute. Mr. Kumavati, can you please unmute? Ma'am Padmavati, ma'am, please unmute. Okay, thank you. So let's say I have a 10 kg of battery pack, and that battery pack is able to give me 100 watts of power. So I will say that it has 10 watt per kg of specific power. Similarly, if my battery pack is able to give me 100 watt hour of energy, I will say that it has 10 watt hour per kg of my specific energy. Now, like I told you yesterday also, we need higher specific energy and higher specific power. Why? We want that even in a small amount of weight, I am able to give more power and more energy, so that my vehicle should have higher range or it should accelerate more. You can understand from this analogy, this specific power and specific energy, like in specific energy, the amount of, let's say, in a 1 liter bottle has a 10 kg weights. I'm just taking an example. So you can calculate, or even for this matter of specific power, how much flow rate is there. So it's similar to a pipe analogy, that how much water is flowing and how much total water has flowed. So this is the energy, and with which rate water is flowing, that's the power. Ruchika ma'am, can you please mute them who is on unmute? Next is the nomenclature of the batteries. So whenever you see a lithium-ion cell, there is a certain nomenclature written on this. So if you will see, there's certain things written on the cells, and we need what does that, so that we will be able to select our cell and see that if cell matches our expectation. Ruchika ma'am, please can you unmute the participant who is on mute? Or can you just remove them? I don't know. Please, it's a humble request. Please keep on mute. It just breaks the flow. So whenever we see a lithium-ion cell, the nomenclature we have, in that nomenclature, we say the first letter defines the number of cells in the series. Generally, like it is for a battery pack. If I have a nomenclature for a pack, I'll include this first and last bit. What is last thing? It is the parallel string. First is the first thing. There is a cells in strings. But if I am only talking about cell, I'll be talking about this total. This now, what happens is, Pointer options. Pen. Okay. So like here what is happening is, if I have a cell in which my what first letter will signify, it will signify that whether it is a lithium ion or a metal alloy. If I specify it is I, that means the lithium ion. If it is a L, that means it's a lithium metal or alloy. I'll take an example later, but first I'll try to explain what this nomenclature is. Now certain people use other nomenclatures also, like A and all that things. So there's no hard and fast rule here. People use different kind of nomenclature, so you will find a bit of variations here. But yeah, generally these first and two things means, first means the negative electrode phase and other is the positive electrode phase. So basically they are here talking about the cathode and here they are talking about the anode. So here the cathode, they will specify, okay, is it a cobalt based, is it a nickel based, manganese based, vanadium based, titanium based, and generally they specify the material which is the most in that. So if it is a NMC chemistry, you may find that many they do INR, they represent cell as INR. So what does that mean? Nickel is most. If it is a LCO, they generally say ICR. So what does that mean? Cobalt is the most, has most number of parts in that cell. So we signify the material which is most in a cathode in the second letter. Now, what does the A3 represent? It represents, is it a cylindrical or a prismatic cell? If it is a R, I'll say it is a cylindrical. If it is P, it is a prismatic cell. So I can tell that INR is a cylindrical cell and ICR is also a cylindrical cell. If it was INP, it was a prismatic cell. Other is the maximum diameter. Like what is the maximum diameter of the cell? So that is, let's say if it is 18 mm, so I'll say 80 mm. What is the maximum width in mm? So if it is 65 mm, I'll say 65 mm width. Now what is the overall height in mm? So this is only applicable for the prismatic cells, right? So since we don't have any height in case of cylindrical cell, we generally refer it to as 0. So if I have a cylindrical cell NMC type, which has most of its cathode material as nickel, so how I will represent? I for lithium ion, N for nickel, R for round, that is cylindrical, 18 is the diameter, 65 is the height, and since 65 is the width, and since it doesn't have height, like in prismatic there are 3 dimensions, in cylindrical only 2, so we will represent at 0. Although like in the last battery day, Elon Musk said that he couldn't find reason for the 0. So in the Tesla's battery chemistry, you will find only 4 letters. They just specify what is the diameter and what is the height of the cell. So last they are working on 4680 chemistry, but that's how you define nomenclature of the cell. So we will look into the data sheet later, but I will want to show that here. If you will see, I don't know is it visible or not. Here it is written ICR 18650. So again, R is prismatic, I is lithium ion, C is cobalt based, and 18650 because it is 18 mm in dia and 65 mm in height. You can always measure it through vernier. Now it's time to look at an actual data sheet. So what I'll do is I'll open a data sheet and I also share the link of 5 data sheets on the chat window. So you can open even in your own system. So if you want to see and ask some questions on the data sheet, you can do. So 1 second, I'll put this on share. So I have certain data sheets like from FB Tech, Samsung, LG Chem, Panasonic. So we will be looking at like what all, how this data sheet looks like, and what all needs to be inferred from them. And what I'll do is on chat window, I'll share the what do you say, the link of the data sheet. So yeah, I shared the link and you can just open if you want any. but I'll go through one of the data sheet and explain you. So let's first open maybe LG Cam. So again, so when you open the data sheet, you will find first of all the the number, the serial number of the cell. So again, we know it's a lithium ion and it's a nickel based chemistry. So we can tell it's a NMC based cell. It most probably it should be an NMC based cell. L means it's R means it's a round cylindrical cell. Again, 18 mm dia, 65 mm height, and 18650 they say, because 0 we don't specify any for prismatic, any third dimension for a cylindrical. Now F1L is the model number of the cell. Now if we look at the data sheet, there are a lot of things given. First we come at the capacity of the cell. So we discussed about the capacity, and they define the capacity. What is the nominal capacity? They say it is 3.35 Ah, but they give a note. It is at standard charge and discharge condition. That's what I was talking. You can't expect the cell to give a very same capacity at a very high discharge rate. These all specifications are mentioned at a standard charge discharge rate, standard temperature and vibration conditions. Even if you put in high temperature, they won't give this much capacity. Again, then is the nominal voltage. So I was talking that nominal is the average voltage. So it is 3.63 volts. Again, for NMC, it is 3.6 to 3.7. Next is the standard charge current. So this is 0.3C they have written. So can you just come up like I think okay, just type in the chat box if this was 1C, what would have been the standard charge current if it was 1C? Okay. The unit won't be in ampere hour, it would be in ampere. Yes. Again, it would be in ampere, not ampere hour. So charge rate or discharge rate is in ampere. How much charge or discharge you can do. So if it was a 1C, it would have been a 3.3 ampere cell. It could have support 3. Yeah, right. 3300 milliampere, right? Okay. Yeah. And yeah. So this is the standard charge rate they have specified. Constant current, constant voltage, and current. I'll talk about this later because I need to explain the charge characteristics for this cell. And let me know if we are stuck somewhere. If something is not able to comprehend, just let me know. You can any time tell me. I don't want I want things to get understand to everyone. So next is the maximum charge voltage, is to say. So again, when we'll study charging, we'll tell you what is it. But for the timing, understand maximum charge voltage is you can't charge the cell beyond that. It will lose its health, its capacity if you charge. Again, maximum charge current, it is 0.5C. So this is the standard charge current. They say if you do this charge current, you will always have standard charge capacity. So somebody wrote 3.25 milliampere ampere of so that is also right. So what happens, there is always some difference in the cells due to manufacturing, that in the capacity. Some will give 3.3400, some will give 3200. So it is due to manufacturing issues. So they specify the minimum and they specify nominal, that it won't go 3250 at any cost. Now 0.5C maximum charge current. So again, 0.5C, you divide 1 by 2, 2 from 3350, you will get 1625. So that way you get no 3250 divided by 2, you will get 1625 milliampere. So that is the maximum charge current. So this is the standard charge current. That means you will get this much capacity, nominal capacity, and if you charge by this current, you will get the minimum capacity. Now again, standard discharge, they have specified 0.2C, 650 milliampere. And I think you all remember when we discussed about the NMC, we told that they generally don't go beyond 1C or 1C in case of charge also and discharge also. Generally they don't go. So that's what you are able to see. So also they have mentioned maximum discharge current. So this is a standard discharge current. This is the recommended discharge current they say, but you can always go for a high discharge current, but it is not recommended because it will reduce your battery capacity. But there is also a limit for a maximum discharge current. If you discharge more than 1.5 C, it's very difficult. Like you will hardly find any NMC cells other than in which doping has been done to go about 2C. Many cells which are NMC, but there are high dopings of cobalt and all that things. So yeah. Again, weight and operating temperature. Now this is an important thing. Okay, somebody is asking standard discharge current is for a particular voltage. If yes, you can. No, it's not for a particular voltage. So what will happen is I need to open a Zeitboard. 1 second. Oh, 1 second. I don't know. Is my screen visible?
No, sir.
Okay, I think this has stopped. 1 second. Sorry for the inconvenience. So, somebody asked me, is the discharge is the voltage is constant for discharge current? No, it's not the case. When you discharge, you will find a curve like this. So what happens? What you do in this case, you discharge the cell at certain current, and that is, let's say, 1 C, and then you measure the capacity. So this is 4.2 volt. This is 3 volt. So the voltage is not constant. You are only specifying at which charge rate, how much capacity you are getting. If it would have been a 2C charge rate, you might have got less capacity. You might have got some capacity like this. So that's what they are talking about. So it's not a constant voltage. Voltage is changed in case of lithium ion, because as you discharge, voltage will reduce since its capacity reduces. I told that voltage is basically how much potential a cell has to, and your potential will reduce as you do more work or more discharge happens. Next is the operating temperature. At charging, it's 0 to 45 degrees. Discharging minus to 20, minus 20 to 50 degrees. Cell skin temperature 60 degrees. That what should be the temperature at the skin level, because you know, you have higher temperature inside the center of the cell as compared to the skin. And these are the storage temperature conditions, that how it should be stored so that to prolong life. Like for example, I talked the dealership example. If you are going to put your cars in a dealership, park in a dealership, so you should follow these instructions for storage. And operating temperature is a very important concept when you analyze lithium-ion battery, because you always want it to be in this range. If you go below or higher range, what happens in case of below? The batteries have huge internal resistance and they are unable to perform. And in case of high temperature, what happens is you are prone to thermal runaway or thermal, you know, it can lead to a safety hazard, a fire kind of thing. So this is the appearance and dimension of the battery of the cell. So they have mentioned all the standard charge and discharge characteristic, how these capacities are calculated. So they just specify this capacity on this charge discharge condition. They never give any kind of warranty from their side. Okay, no sir, it's okay. Yeah, is your doubt clear, Mr. Satyajit ji, sir? Like, let me know if you face any other issue. I'll move ahead. Okay. So standard charge and discharge characteristics they give, that how much it should be so that it should behave, it should give that particular capacity, right? So somebody is asking, does C rate fluctuates like during acceleration? C rate is high and during, yeah, C rate fluctuates. Yeah, it's actually fluctuates. So it's a very valid question that so these conditions are not valid. So basically, cell manufacturer doesn't take any warranty on its side. Only battery integrator take. He says that this capacity is only at certain kind of conditions, and if you are not filling, which you will anyway never be able to fulfill, because these are very low end conditions, and so they never take the responsibility, and a battery pack integrator has always to take some margin. Next is again charge discharge conditions. You have electrical specification. I was talking about this AC impedance 70 milliohms in the morning. So this is given with PTC. You have a positive temperature coefficient thermistor inside for safety reason. I'll explain, but it is specified with PTC because it increases the resistance. So does somebody has doubt? I see somebody. Okay. Next is the cycle life. So here they have given cells shall be charged and discharged per this 300 cycle. Cycle is defined as one charge and one discharge. So like I was talking in the cycles definition, that generally people take it as one discharge, some take as one charge and one discharge, and they are specifying, okay, my battery will be only 75% of what it was after this. It's not your battery will finish, it's just that it will be only 75% of that. And in automobile, we never go below 70% generally. That when it is 70% of its initial capacity, it won't be able to use, because you need some kind of power to get through flyovers and all kind of accelerations. Next is storage capacity, high temperature storage. So what these are: environmental specification. Okay, you have to this should be storage at this. If you store at this, you will have more than 90% of the capacity. You will lose capacity, but you will not lose much. Then you have high temperature storage test, high temperature and high humidity test. These are all tests you do with cells, so that you ensure they are safe. You can't expect like because they will be in high humidity, high conditions, high vibrations, high temperature conditions. They will get thermal shocks. So what we as a battery pack manufacturer expects through this test, it's not that it will lose capacity. We know it will lose, but it should not blast or it should not catch fire. That's what we expect. So that's why we do this stringent test, drop, vibration, overcharge, that at any cost it should not catch fire. So again, you can see no explode, no fire, no explode, no fire, impact test, heating test, all these specifications they give how they have done this. They crush, even after crush, it should not explode or fire. Why? Let's say your vehicle crashes. You will want that it shouldn't catch fire, because it can be it can take somebody's life. Again, they specify that it should be kept out, away from fire, heat, because it will deteriorate performance. Not only it will deteriorate, it will also affect, what do you say, the performance, as well as it can be a safety hazard also. Now, one important thing which I will like to say is they also measure, you will find somewhere, that always use cells of same capacity and same manufacturer and same even batch date also. They always say don't use a older cell with new cells and all that thing, because that will create imbalance in cells that can deteriorate one of the cell. And why it will deteriorate, I'll come to that point later also. But just understand, like if you have two cells which are unequal in charge, so if one will give more charge, other will also have to give, and in that way it can over discharge. So we need to ensure that both the cells are on same page. It's a similar thing like you might have played a leg race in our childhood, when you tie the leg of two people. Like if one is fast, one is slow, the one who is slow is going to fall. So that's why we say we keep cells at same capacity, and for that we do testings. I'll show in battery pack assembly slides how we do testings and all. So yeah, other than things, there are prohibitions, cautions, and how to install battery pack, how to design, a lot of things you may read in free time. Discharge protection circuit. Okay, if not same one battery will supply the rest of battery. Yeah, you can see. Okay, and they have specified some exclusion of liability. Also, you need to install a protection circuit. They say long story short, like there are a lot of things they give as legal disclaimers and all those things. As a battery pack integrator, if you are taking cells from other company and making battery packs, you need to go through them clearly and deeply to make a battery pack. Okay. And if you all wanted to read, you can read rest of the data sheets maybe in break, and let me know any doubts. Like these are big data sheets, and even I also learn something new from them every time I read. So yeah, you can always go through them. So I hope we are on same page. Everything is clear. Nobody's facing issue, and then I'll move on. Like everything is, I hope, clear.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Actually, what I mean by my question in the chat box that when the vehicle is accelerating,
Mhm.
that time C rate will be higher, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that was my question. That if C rates fluctuates or what?
Yeah, C rates fluctuate. So like I replied to that also, that C rate fluctuate, and the specification they give in datasheet, they give for constant C rate. So you are not never going to have a constant C rate. They just do a test. They will connect a constant load and they will test, and they will give you a capacity, but that's not actually the case. That's why the capacity which is measured in the cell and which you actually get on field is very less. Not very less, it is less. You can take 10% margin, 10 to 20% margin. I hope
Okay.
that.
Sir,
Okay.
hello.
Yeah.
Sir, my
Yes.
question is whether C rate is defined by the user or it has been already defined according to the manufacturer. Like suppose I have a 40 ampere hour battery and I have a 5 ampere hour battery charger, 5 ampere battery charger. Then C rate will be 5 ampere or it will be 40 ampere hour.
So it's always defined by manufacturer, uh, because he knows what is going inside a cell, how much it can take, and you need to design your load and charger according to manufacturer. You can't do other ways. Like if my charger is 20 ampere and my cell only can take 10 ampere, and if you'll connect, your cell will lose health. So we always go from manufacturer side. I hope that clears.
But in battery, there is no mention of any type of charger specification. So suppose I purchase a battery and I made my own charger, then which rules or which specification I have to stick to?
Yeah, so you need to stick to manufacturer. What happens is you always give charger according to the C rate it can take. So for example, if you have a battery pack, let's say even a lead acid battery pack, you will see like if you have e-rickshaws nearby, just go them and take their charger and read the readings. You will find 15 amperes, 10 ampere, at max 20 ampere. You will never find a e-rickshaw driver using a 30 ampere charger. Why? Because it will damage the batteries. So you always go other way around. You will see what is this, then you'll see what are the available charges, and you will select it on. And also similar case of electric four-wheelers, with a Tata charger, you can't expect to connect somebody Tesla charger, fast charger. It's everything, you have to follow how the cells behave. I hope that clears.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Like if you all have even more doubts, I'm in the FTP group. You can ask that out there also. I'll jump to the next slide. Okay, let's understand discharge characteristics. So when you go through datasheet, you generally find discharge characteristics. I have one Panasonic datasheet on the drive link. You can go through them. So what basically is discharge characteristic? How cell will discharge? So somebody was asking me like, is it at constant C rate? Yes, it is at constant C rate. How we know what is that? It is given here. So it is given 4 ampere discharge. So they are doing a 4 ampere discharge and they are seeing how cell is behaving at different temperature. Now for 25 degrees Celsius, you have this, at 10 this, 0 this, minus 10 this. This is the discharge characteristics. These are the charge characteristics, these ones. So, but my question is, can somebody explain why this voltage is getting down? Like why and at this point you are seeing a kink? Like it's very important thing to understand if we are designing battery packs. So what happens is, okay, no, at lower temperature, the internal resistance of the battery increases. I told you internal resistance is the resistance to electrons to cross the electrodes and all that things. So at lower temperature, the chemical reaction, the conductivity very much reduces. As conductivity reduces, internal resistance increases. Now what happens when you start discharging your cell, the cell will get heated. Now due to that heating, its temperature will rise. And when its temperature rises, its internal resistance again decreases because it has come to a normal temperature. And then you again get back that voltage. So that's why you see this kind of kink at lower temperatures. We say that, you know, at lower temperatures, battery is even more difficult to handle as compared to high temperatures. That's why you need heaters and all those things in a lithium ion battery pack in a colder countries, and you need a thermal management system proper. I'll talk about this charge characteristics later, that how this does this mean. Can someone tell C rate of the discharge? Okay. Anyways, so if you want to calculate C rate of this discharge, I'll quickly cover. If it is a 4 ampere discharge and my capacity, let's say, is 3300 mAh, that is 3.3 mAh. So my C rate will be 4 by 3.3. That will be my C rate. So yeah. Okay, so I wrote that, can you observe something peculiar at -10? We discussed that. Again, okay, this is the same slide. I don't know how it came. Now, one question, if somebody can write yes or no, do you think internal resistance is constant or variable? You can write on chat box. Yeah, yes, it's not constant. It varies. And how we know it varies? Let's see. Okay, somebody is saying. Okay, so what basically internal resistance is? Slope of this line. Because the more internal resistance you get, the more voltage drop you will get. I hope everybody agrees, because if in my circuit, if this is the R, this is the EMF, if my at same current, if my voltage, my internal resistance increases, my voltage drop will also increase. And that's why this slope of this line tells you how much internal resistance is. In case of lithium ion batteries, internal resistance is fairly constant over a period of, let's say, 20% to 90% of SOC. It depends on temperature also. But when it is near its end discharge, it gets very high internal resistance. So what happens? Your battery voltage drops suddenly. You start seeing sudden drops in battery voltage, and that's why you keep a margin at the end. I'll tell you why. Because you don't want an incorrect estimation of voltage leading you to go below under voltage, because at the end you will be having very much, you know, fast changes in voltage. Now again, you have what do you say, internal resistance. Here you get a lot of internal resistance initially. So yeah, you can always see how much internal resistance is based on the tangent of the slope. Okay, like, does internal resistance also varies with the battery health? The answer is yes. Why it varies? Because of the chemical reactions. Again, it is very difficult for the electron to cross its path. And it's similar analogy, like if road gets bumpy and wear and tear happens, you will face resistance while going to office. More heating will take place. And that's why we say internal resistance is almost directly proportional to capacity phase. So here you have IR, it is the capacity fade. So you can see it's almost proportional. So, but we can use this thing, you know, how we can use it? We can measure state of health through this. We know that capacity fade is directly proportional to internal resistance. So what we do? we calculate state of health based on two things. Either we check its internal resistance. We see, okay, is it this? So then like it is 80% healthy or 90% healthy. Or the simplest way to calculate state of health is to calculate, like I showed in previous slide, what is the available capacity right now and what was the rated capacity. So these two methods we generally use to calculate state of health. Many people use internal resistance also. And yeah. Next, I go to, but one more question, like does change in internal resistance with respect to temperature, state of charge, state of health affect something else too? Okay, should be low, good SOH, right? It changes with thermal conductivity, which is dependent on temperature. So yeah, internal resistance will change with respect to temperature also, state of charge also, state of health also. And so what I mean to say is, yeah.
Sir,
Uh,
what I'm asking is that internal resistance should be low for a good state of health. Is that you are showing some relation now, SOH and IR.
yeah.
So IR should be low or high?
Okay, it should be higher. It should be higher. So what I mean by higher, like if you are having high IR, you will be having high I square R loss, means electron is facing more loss while travel. So that what it means, that there is wear and tear in battery, and when there's battery is degrading, its IR is increasing, and when its IR is increasing, its state of health will also decrease. So I hope that clears.
Yes, sir. So IR should be low, right?
Yeah, IR should increase with time. IR will increase, but it should be low. We prefer low, but it increases.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
So like that's a good question. If you look at data sheets, you will always want a low IR cell which has low internal resistance. Okay, so yeah, it affects with temperature. We have seen that at different temperatures we get different discharge curve. So this is the IR. So with temperature it is changing, with state of charge it is changing. Here you are getting high IR, here you are getting low IR, and also with state of health, that how much batteries you, this is getting changed. So internal resistance is dependent on all these three factors, and it's a pretty tricky thing to find about this. But it also affects one very important thing. So if you are a BMS designer, you need to take care of this. So what happens is there's always an effect of high current on usable capacity. Like I told you that this B is equal to E minus IR. Now higher my what do you say, current, my lower will be the voltage drop. So for example, I was using let's say 1 ampere discharge. After this much at this much capacity, I will be at this voltage for 1 ampere discharge, but for 10 ampere discharge, I will be at this voltage. Why this voltage? Again, because if my R is 1 ohm, let's say, so my IR internal resistance drop will be 1 volt, but here it will be 10 volts. So when it is 10 volts, I'll come to my under voltage cutoff fast, right? If I'm discharging at higher rate, I'll reach under voltage cutoff fast. And what it affects is I'm unable to use the rest of the capacity. So what happens is, as you increase the C rate, you increase the discharge rate, your capacity decreases. And you can always take capacity as area under this curve, because here it is B, here it is AH. So V into AH is watt R. So it is the capacity of the battery, how much energy has. So you can see area under curve here is less as compared to this bigger area. So yeah, that's how it affects on usable capacity. But I also want you to look at another perspective. With time, if my internal resistance increases, all right, so even at 1 ampere discharge, due to my change in internal resistance, I am getting higher voltage drop. So my this 1 ampere curve will shift downwards. It will cut off earlier. So again, my capacity will reduce. So that is the reason why with increase in internal resistance, my capacity fades. And in a BMS, you would want a programmable BMS who can just slightly reduce these cutoff points. Why you would want? Because if my vehicle is was giving 100 kilometers in first year, you would want your vehicle to at least give let's say 90 kilometers in next year. But if my BMS sticks at the same cutoff point, it will only give 80 kilometers. So your BMS will slightly lower this, so that cells are also safe and the user also doesn't get disappointed. And again, it's a very tricky thing to implement in BMS. Like yeah, it takes a lot of technical expertise.
Sir, preset cutoff is already decided by the manufacturer.
No. So what happens is, in a data sheet, if we open the data sheet, they will give. I'll show the data sheet. Let's discuss this. So when we were seeing the LG Chem data sheet, so here in the discharge, can you see this end voltage cutoff 2.5 volts?
Yes,
So,
sir.
yeah, so this is given by the manufacturer. This is the last voltage. But what happens? Most of the battery pack integrators are scared that I'll tell you 1 second. So what you can see is here my voltage is changing very fast at the end of the life. You can see at last points it is changing very fast. So let's say my BMS, my battery is at 2.5 volt, but my BMS calculates it at 2.8 volt. It won't cut off, right? And my battery can discharge even below. And if it will discharge even below, it will cross the manufacturer minimum recommendation, and that can affect the health of the battery. So what my battery pack integrator will do, he will intelligently not put it at 2.5 volt. He will keep a margin and he will take it at 3 volts. So to answer your question, cell manufacturer only recommends what should be the cutoff voltage, but a battery pack integrator sets its own cutoff voltage to keep a margin.
Sir,
I hope that
if there
answers.
would
Mute yourself, whoever is on the
sir, there is background sound.
these are
Kind
but mute, Ruchika ma'am, please help me. I think Mr. Satyajit is on unmute.
Sir, actually there is so much background noise. There will be no cutoff.
Thank you, ma'am. So I'll go on. Yeah, so somebody is asking what happens below cutoff voltage. There are some chemical reactions that happens in cell. Some redox reactions happen which can damage the cell. Means it can reduce the capacity of the cell. These are irreversible chemical changes which happen. So that's why it is never recommended to go below cutoff voltage. And just for general information, even the manufacturer keeps a margin. So they have under 2.22 volt margin. Still they say 2.5 volt, and battery pack integrator will keep at 3 volts. So yeah. So I hope that answers your question. That only manufacturer gives recommendation, we have to set up.
Sir,
Now-
if by any chance the voltage goes below the cutoff voltage, the battery will be automatically disconnected or what? Or you have to such connections like that, so that it
Oh.
will be disconnected.
Yeah, so cells doesn't have their own intelligence. They don't know. Like you can discharge them for 1 volt or something. But we have something called battery management system, BMS, in a cell, who ensures that okay, cell won't go below some certain voltage. And if it goes below, nothing's going to happen to cell. It's just you will lose the capacity. Like you will lose huge amount of capacity. Cell doesn't have any mechanism to ensure that it is not being discharged below cutoff voltage. You can do it if you want.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay. Okay. What is this? Okay. SOC OCV curve. Mm, So I just want to quickly cover SOC OCV curve. So what is SOC OCV curve? We generally take it as a 0.02C. What is OCV is open circuit voltage, and we make a chart. Okay, at this state of charge, this is my open circuit voltage. At this state of charge, this is my open circuit voltage. So we make this kind of curve, which is called as SOC OCV curve. And yeah, here this curve there should be what do you say, markings here also, because this is opposite discharging curve. So yeah, so this is very important for a BMS, because designer, because you need to put this curve, because like you want to know at which position my charge is, let's say 50%. So I'll check, okay, my cell is at 3.2 volts, 3.15 volts. I'll say, okay, to the user, you have 50% charge. But a very important question I want to ask all of you, if somebody can answer, like, we are talking about open circuit voltage curve, but it is at 0.02C. I am discharging. So how can you define something? How can a current flow in an open circuit voltage? Like, we are talking about SOC versus open circuit voltage curve, but again we are talking at certain discharge. So like, how both things are related? Because at open circuit there should be no current flowing.
It might be because of the device we have connected to measure the open circuit voltage, and there in that device there would be some internal resistance, and for that there would be any discharge, I think.
No, but then the terminology should not be open circuit voltage. They should mention it something else. Like if they are saying open circuit voltage, it should actually be open circuit voltage. Okay, I'll tell you what is the reason. I was pretty confused on this point initially. So there's something called, so OCV is basically a rested voltage. So what happens in a lithium ion cell, when you charge or discharge, it's like this, the polarized here, like you get shock, right? For there's a certain time would take for this hair to settle. Similarly, a certain time takes for a battery to settle. It is under a polarization. And we never say, if let's say I was discharging my cell and suddenly I disconnected and I say it's an open circuit voltage. No, it's not open circuit voltage, even though electrically it is. But as soon as I take out the terminals of it, I have to wait for at least 20-30 minutes to actually get the open circuit voltage, because its polarization should go. So we say that as open circuit. And why that curve is like this? Because practically it is not possible that in SOC OCV curve, at each point to make a curve I wait for 20 minutes. Like to make a curve, that is not something we say practically possible, because there are infinite number of points, and we don't look for interpolations and all. So what we do, we just take a very few amount of current, that is 0.02C. That is almost equal to 0 ampere. That is current voltage. The cell doesn't face any kind of polarization. To put it simply, if my, what do you say, this is E. So if my E minus IR, if my I tends to 0, my E minus IR will also tend to 0, and that will give me the open circuit voltage, or E. So yeah, that is why we take it at 0.02C or 0.01C. Some people take it higher, also 0.1C, 0.2C. That's not correct, but people take, because you don't find much percentage error also. One more thing is the behavior of, okay, that is a case of low load condition, right? No, if you are discharging something at any current, even for that matter 0.1 ampere, that definitely needs to have a load. So there is a load, but that load is very low, like it's like 0.02C. So we take open circuit voltage for a very few load, that IR drop is almost equal to 0. It's not 0, it's almost equal to 0, so that we could almost get a terminal voltage which is almost equal to E. It's just an approximation, and all the curves are made with such approximation. I think that clears your doubt. Yeah, Mr. Satyaji. Okay. Next is the hysteresis voltage. So we know hysteresis. I think this terminology is something from Greek or whatever. I don't remember, something Latin. It is something to remember, something like that. So we are familiar with the hysteresis curve and transformer and all that things. But in lithium-ion cell also hysteresis happen. What is hysteresis? It remembers its previous state. So let's say if it was you were charging, it will remember its previous state and it will be at, let's say, 3.5 volts. But if it was discharging at same ampere hour capacity, it will be at 3.3 volts. So even at same capacity, if you were earlier charging or if you were earlier discharging, there will be a difference in voltage, and that also BMS need to take care, because if it will not take care, it will assume, okay, if it was last charge and it was showing 3.5 volt, and if it would have referred discharge curve, so for discharge curve 3.5 volt means higher capacity, which is not the case. So again, we need to take care of hysteresis voltage in the cells. Next is the lithium-ion cell charging. Now, what is lithium-ion cell charging and how does that happen? So assume this as a battery, and this water flow as the C rate at which cell is being charged. Now, what will happen if I will charge this at same rate? Let's say I am charging at 2C. Okay, when it is 0%, then 10%, 20%, 30, 40, 15, let's say 90. And even if I keep on charging at same rate at the end points, what will happen? What do you think will happen to this glass of water or battery? Okay. Like, yeah, exactly. Rightly said, Mr. Satyajit, rightly pointed. It will overflow. Like if you keep on discharging at same rate at high current, even at the end, the battery is going to overflow. And if we cross certain voltage in a cell, it will get damaged. So what we do, we use CCCV charging. What is CCCV charging? I'll cover. Okay. Yeah, and loss of energy. At the end of the charge, what we do, we'll slow the charge rate. We say, okay, we don't want the water to flow or charge to overflow. We will slow the charge rate. At final stage, initially we will charge it at capacity. 1 second. So yeah. So you see similar in petrol pumps, when I get my petrol filled. So during the last, they ask, do you want top up? So they won't put it at full, throttle, the last amount of petrol. They will just top up with few throttle. So that happens there also. And similar thing happens in lithium-ion battery also. So what we do is, initially we charge at a constant current. We charge at a high rate. Let's say here it is 1C or 2C, whatever. So initially I'll charge at a constant current. You can see this is a constant current curve. After that, I'll reduce the current so that it is being able to charge the cell without overflowing it. So what we do, how we reduce this, we make the voltage constant. We say, okay, till now we were giving constant current. After that, we will make the voltage constant. We will make it constant to the point which manufacturer has recommended, above which you should never go. So for example, in NMC, you should never go above 4.2 volts. So here they have kept the constant voltage at 4.2 volts. So as soon as yeah, somebody is on unmute, please mute. Mr. Eknath, can you please be on mute? I request you. Ruchika ma'am, can you please mute? Oh, mute them, mute the participant. Ruchika ma'am,
Yes.
ma'am, can you just mute everyone? Just make me the host. I'll solve the questions on chat. Just make me a host and mute everyone. Thanks.
Are all muted?
No, ma'am.
I'm trying to do it, but Eknath, sir.
Yes.
Sir.
Okay, we'll attend the other guy.
Ma'am, can you just mute everyone and just make me the host so that we shouldn't face the problem. Otherwise, we won't be able to complete.
Bhanu, I have made you the co-host.
Okay. Okay, yeah. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. So that we should complete everything on time, please ask questions on chat. I'll be answering on that. Yeah. So next is so again, I was talking that if my manufacturer say, okay, you should never go above 4.2 volt, what I'll say, till that time, I'll charge it constantly. My voltage of the cell will also increase, but as soon as my voltage reaches at almost at that point or at that point, I'll switch to constant voltage charging. I'll fix the voltage and I won't allow the voltage to even go above. And after that, the current will reduce. It will go slowly. So that's how we do charging. Again, similar to the concept, we are initially putting a lot of current, then slowly we are reducing the current. So that is how CCCV charging will happen. Now you may ask, how do I know at which point to cut off or not? So if you will go through data sheet, in the discharge characteristic and in standard discharge charge characteristic, they have given this how much you should cut off. So let's see here in this discharge characteristics, it is given 1.675 ampere should be the standard charge rate and 4.2 volt is cutoff level. What does this 67 milliampere means? At what ampere you have to cut off? So I'll explain this. So even in the previous slide, what it is saying, 0.75 milliampere, you start in that point. After that, you switch to 4.2 volt constant voltage. And when you switch to constant voltage, current will automatically going to reduce. But you need to cut off when your current reaches 67 milliampere. So that's what you mean by that in the data sheet. So whenever you design a charger, you will keep in mind this point. And you can see this thing even in the data sheet also. Like for example,
Hello, sir.
yes.
Sir, we are trying to make a charger of 12 volt and 5 ampere ampere current charging specifications. So in that case, how can you are saying that the voltage initially should be high and the current charging is also high, and after that for a particular period the voltage will be constant and current should be decreased. So how can you achieve that?
Okay, so whenever we say there's a 5 ampere charger, what does that mean? It's going to inject 5 ampere of constant current. But when you put something in constant voltage, let's say 4.2 volt at the end of the discharge, so what will happen is when you put apply a constant voltage, you don't need to do anything else. Your cell will automatically take less current because it doesn't has that capacity. What you were doing before that, you were forcefully injecting current into the cell, but now you are just keeping voltage constant. Cell will automatically take the current how much it wants, but you need to make sure that at 67 milliampere you cut off that also. So I hope that clears your doubt.
Okay. Okay.
Like you can see here also, when you go to the data sheet, you will see in the standard chart, this should be my constant current. You should never go above 975 milliampere for the constant current. Or after that, when you are constant current, when you reach at 4.2 volt, you just put it on constant voltage, current will automatically decrease. As soon as current reaches 50 milliampere, you have to cut off everything. So that is what we target. That's how we do in battery, lithium ion battery. So after that, I'll be starting with battery pack engineering. I'll stop here, and if somebody has some questions, please ask on chat. Please be on mute. It's very difficult.
Sir, actually, the batteries are about 12 volt. Almost all batteries means we are using in commercial purposes. All are 12 volt batteries. So how can you charge it through 4.2 volt? Means it will be less voltage than the 12 volt. The current will flow from the battery to the charger.
Okay, I'll tell you. So what happens is, what this 4.2 volt is the cell voltage. You never use an individual cell into the what do you say, in a vehicle. You make a battery pack, and when you make a battery pack, you make 24 or 12 volt of configuration. So when you make a battery pack, let's say you are using 3 cells with this, so it's what do you say, cutoff voltage will not be 4.2 volts. Since you will be using 3 cells, it will be 4.2 volt into 3. It will be 12.6. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, I hope that clears. Mr. Eknath ji, please be on mute. Thank you. Okay. Any other queries before I move to battery pack engineering? Okay. So next is we are going to talk about battery pack engineering. So till now we have looked into the cell level. Okay, I have some cells. I'm looking at how they perform and all. So what happened usually is you take cell from manufacturer, but manufacturer doesn't make a battery pack. Why? Because everybody has different requirement. Like Mr. Satyajit ji told that they might be using 12 volt battery pack. Somebody might be using 25.9 volt, somebody 60 volt, somebody 72 volt, somebody has 50H rating, somebody has 24Ah rating. So what manufacturer does, cell manufacturer, okay, he gives okay. And there are different kind of battery pack integrators. What they will do is, they will take this cell, put it in a battery pack, put a BMS, put a thermal circuit, put a lot of things so that they can deliver a battery pack. So till now we have been looking into the cells. Now we'll look into the battery pack, and this is the area like where startups can really go, because India can do really good in battery pack engineering. We can't do in something in cell because everything comes from China, and we don't have such capex to invest heavily in these plants. But we can definitely do on battery pack engineering. So what are the battery pack components? So if you will look at battery pack components, an exploded view of that, you will see, one second. You will see that it contains a lot of cells. So these are prismatic cells. It contains some kind of cooling or heating structure or heating cooling mechanism, so that cells won't heat too much for thermal runaway or safety issues, or they should not be even cold enough so that you lose capacity. It will have what do you say, the bus bars to connect the cells. It will have a BMS, battery management system, which will ensure, okay, cells won't go above this voltage, below this voltage, or every cell is balanced. So I'll talk more about it in the BMS lecture. So all these things needs to be taken care when you are designing a battery pack, and all these are components. You have protection circuit, fuse, PCM, and a lot of things we will cover. So here are few battery packs. Like I'll open an actual battery pack maybe tomorrow or whenever, like I need to bring that. So let's say this is one more battery pack. You have cells, you have BMS or protection circuit, PCM, and you have a casing, cooling plates, then you have a lot of high voltage cables and junctions, cooling pipes, and like till now it was chemical engineering perspective. Now it's like more of electrical, electronic and mechanical engineering perspective. But every electrical, electronic and mechanical engineer should know chemical perspective behind the battery pack. Now here what we will look at is first the cell arrangement. So how we can arrange the cell. So for cylindrical cells, which are most widely used, we can arrange cells either in the straight manner or offset manner. Can somebody just put it on chat, which should we go for when we are designing a battery pack, straight or offset? Any intuitive guess? Straight, okay. Offset, okay. Yeah,
Sir,
you are right.
recently I have done this work in CFD software, different arrangements, straight, align, cross. In
Okay.
that, we have found that straight gives better cooling compared to others.
Yeah, you are right. Yes. Thanks for bringing that. So yeah, that is one of the reason, and you're right. And yeah, so basically, when you look at these two configurations, there are basically two trade-offs you need to make. So we can look and somebody's volumetric efficiency cooling. Okay. So we can look at both the configuration. We can say, okay, pack efficiency wise, offset is better. Like you can pack more number of cells in this at certain situations. Like it depends on dimension also. Like if your dimension was only till like this, then you can't accommodate one more cell. But if your dimensions are big, you may want to go with offset cells. But again, thermal performance straight have better because they have more spaces in between, so they can give better cooling. So yeah, you have to make a trade-off between like you want a higher thermal performance or you want a better pack efficiency, and for that matter, which what are the dimensions of the pack you are using, because for some dimensions this might have higher efficiency, not this. So let's do that, which arrangement is better. Let's do some calculations, and I'll highly appreciate if you will all do it alone. So I need a calculator. Okay. So let's say we have two cells. One is 18650 and other is 2170. It's not 18650, it's a typo error. 2170. So what does 21700 means? I earlier also told that it has 21 mm of dia and 71 mm of height. So obviously this cell is bigger than this. So since it is bigger, it will have higher energy density. So if I need to make for this dimension, which kind of arrangement, offset is better, straight is better, and which cell is better, what I need to do is I need to perform certain kind of calculations. So what I'll do is I will see, okay, I have, let's say, 224 mm of what say one side of dimension. So I'll see, okay, how much 18 mm I can fit in this. So if I divide 224 by 18, I get 12.44. But I can't do like 12.44. So what I'll do is I'll most probably I'll arrange 12 cells in one direction. So I'll put 12 cells. Now this was one. Now here I need 148 mm. So again, I'll divide 148 by 18 mm. I'll get 8 cells. So 8.22 I'll get. So I'll take it 8 because I can't exceed the limit. So here I have 8 cells, right? So, and based on my energy requirement, I'll stack them one above other to make a bigger pack. But let's assume that it's only one stacking. So if I have 12 cells in series 8 in parallel, that means I have 12 into 8. How much is this? 76, no, sorry. So 96 cells. So I will be using 96 cells in one stack. Now, if I'm using 96 cells in one stack and my one cell is 10 watt hour, I'll be creating one layer of 96 into 10 watt hour, 960 watt hour layer. So this whole will give me 960 watt hour of energy. Now let's take 2170 cell. Now in this case, if I have 224 mm, let's say one side of dimension, and 21 mm I can adjust at one side. So I'll mention here also, if this is 18 mm dia. So I'll divide 224 by 21. Now that comes out to be 10.67. So I'll take 10 cells in one side. So I'll say, okay, 10 cells I am taking here. And this is 21 mm dia. Now on the other side, I have 148, what do you say, mm. I'll again divide 148 by, what do you say, 21, and I'll get 7 as my answer. So I'll take, since I got 7.04, I'll take only 7 cells. I want some margin also. I can't exceed this dimension. So here I'm getting 70 cells, right? 7 into 10, 70 cells. But my one cell is 12 watt hour. So what I'll do is I have 70 into 12, that is, yeah, 84, 840 watt hour of energy. So, okay, now write in chat like which cell I should use, 18650 or 21700. What do you think? Okay, somebody wrote 21700. Can you write why? Okay, so I'll explain. We will use 18650 based on the calculations, not on the cost. You will get 18650 at a cheaper rate. Then you will use 18650 only, but still you will use 18650. Reason why you will use 18650, because you are getting more energy in the pack. You are able to get 960 watt hour in one layer. Here you are getting 840 watt hour. Okay, so you are talking about less. So it also depends on scale of manufacturing. Like 25700 is not manufactured at that much scale. So you will find cost of 18650 and 21700 at almost same level, because 18650 are more in number right now. So if we have a similar cost, I'll prefer 18650 cell. So cost, if there are cost difference, we will definitely take cost also into the picture. Why I'll take 18650 cell? Because I'm able to get more amount of energy. Like I've done the calculation here, and I've shown you how it is getting. To explain why it is being happening, even because you can understand it in this way, that if I had like say 10 mm of space remaining, or let's say 20 mm of space remaining after fitting n number of cells in the pack, in that my 18 mm cell will fit, but not 21 mm cell will fit. So generally when I use smaller cells, I'm able to achieve higher pack efficiency. Generally, there's no standard battery pack configuration. Okay, in terms of this, so what I have right now battery pack which I'll be showing, I think it's offset one, and 18650 they have used. Generally, people use 18650. 21700 is for Tesla. They used 21700 cell. But the point I wanted to bring is, if you have 20 mm of space remaining, you will be able to get fit 18 mm cell, but not 21 mm cell. So that's what happening here. That's why you are getting more energy in case of 18650 as compared to 21700 cell. And as if you talk about using straight or offset, I think you should go with straight cells. Why you should go with straight cell? Because if I would have been using yeah, if I would have been using offset cells, what would have happened is I would have needed more space because I can't go at this side. So, but it again depends upon the dimensions of the pack. If it would have been a very big dimension, then offset would have made a sense. So what you will do is what generally battery pack engineers do, they design this on CAD and do find how much is the difference, and based on that they do the calculation. So you need to do this on SolidWorks, or I do in SolidWorks, and see which is more efficient in terms of energy as well as efficiency.
Sir, by configuration, actually, I was asking that in a battery pack, how many cells they include, or on demand side, how they design the battery pack.
Mhm. Okay, so you are asking like how it is done on demand side.
Yeah, in a battery pack, how many cells should be there, like that way?
Okay. So what happens is a user will just give you a requirement. I need a 1 kilowatt hour battery pack. I have this dimension 224 mm. Like say if it is a two-wheeler manufacturer will give, I need a 1 kilowatt hour battery pack with 224 mm into 100 mm dimension, let's say, or 200 mm. So based on that, he won't ask for any kind of offset or this. He will ask, I need 3 years of warranty. You have to figure out what is the best configuration you will use so that you fit into the requirement of user. Yeah,
Okay.
I'll talk on 21700. Yeah. So
So how they, sir, calculate range of, suppose there is electric bike is there, and requirement is 1 kilowatt hour. How they go for the range it can go? Based on some C rate, they must be calculating.
yeah, so how they go is they do certain calculations we call as powertrain calculations, the gross vehicle weight, and what is the g-force, how much resistance you have on tire and all that things, and rolling resistance, aerodynamic drag, and based on that you calculate, okay, for 80 kilometers you need this much of battery pack, and yeah, you have MATLAB simulations for that. So that generally user does, because a battery pack manufacturer doesn't want to take any kind of what do you say, liability on his head, that tomorrow he comes that it's not working. He will say that I've given me 1 kilowatt hour, it's you asked me 1 kilowatt hour, I've given. So yeah, that generally is done on MATLAB. I do on MATLAB. Yeah. What is okay. Next question. Yeah, I have some question. just I'll... Hello, am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes, Bhanu, audible.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So sorry for the delay. I have to change my view. So yeah, the next questions I have is size would be immaterial. What would be the... Okay, somebody is asking for thermal it is better. It's only the case for Tesla. I'll tell you why. So in this slide, I'll clear this doubt and then I'll come to the next doubt. So here we have discussed like which arrangement is better, and we have done a calculation. But now also we need to understand one thing. Right? One second. Please give me. Yeah. So sorry for the inconvenience. I have some technical issue on my side. Okay. So which arrangement is better? That might be a question for you.
Sir,
Yeah.
your volume is low.
Sorry.
Volume is low.
Is it okay now?
Yes.
Okay, I'll keep this here. Okay, so your one question you may think about, okay, which arrangement is better, like 18650 or 21700? So we talked about like in 18650 you were getting higher energy density because it was able to fill into the spaces. But other than that, you have some inherent advantage. What it is, like in 18650 and in 21700, in 18650 your thermal buildup will be less as compared to 21700. The heat dissipation is easier here because if heat generates here, it's easier to go at cell boundary here as compared to here. So thermally, this system is better. Also, servicing it is easier because let's say you have 100 cells of 18650. Now each cell is having 10 watt hour of energy, but in case of 21700 you are having 12 watt hour of energy. Now this 12 watt hour of energy, if there's one cell that gets damaged, you will take out 12 watt of energy, but in case of 18650 you will just take this. So in servicing it's better to use lower capacity cell because it won't affect your capacity much, and even if one cell doesn't behave good, you won't lose much energy. And again we talked about the more pack energy density. Now somebody was asking me that okay, in terms of thermal it's better to have 21700. See, now Tesla is coming with 4680. Now you will ask that if they are coming with 4680, how their thermal is happening. They are thermally superior than all other cells. Why? Because they are not using tabs in their cell. So if you are able to eliminate tabs and do some kind of doping, is what they are doing, you will able to achieve that kind of thermal superior efficiency. But if we compare normal cells which we have in market, 18650 has better thermal efficiency. You can read about tabless cells whenever you want. It's an interesting concept. If size would be immaterial, what would be the size of battery for 100 watt motor? Like I didn't get your question, but like if you are asking size would be immaterial, I just said that a user has to give that how much watt hour battery it needs. A user will give, you will just provide him the battery. So user has to calculate, okay, for 1000 watt motor, you know, and my vehicle with 200 kg of weight, I want to give let's say 80 kilometer of range. So he chooses, okay, I need 5 kilowatt hour battery. So we'll ask the battery manufacturer, I need 5 kilowatt hour battery with a power of, let's say, peak power of, you can say 2 kilowatt something. I'm just assuming.
So in that case, you can say, or 1 kilowatt, because this will draw more current also. Next question you have, what would be the charging time in one charge? How many kilometer it can run? Please show us the calculation. Okay, so in one charge, how much? So these are powertrain calculations. So this will be covered in powertrain lecture, which Dr. Himani Bansal will take. She will tell, because it's a very very deep concept. Like powertrain is another world as similar to battery. And I think, am I clear? Like, is my volume now okay? Is my volume okay? Can somebody tell? Okay, okay. Okay, these relations are done in MATLAB. It's a powertrain calculation. That's a very complicated subject. That I think powertrain lectures will take care of. You can definitely ask the instructor to tell the calculations. Okay, okay, but again, if you read upon the blogs that Tesla is planning to use bigger diameter cells, but you will then ask me question that you said that we should use smaller cells, not bigger cells, because of thermal dissipation and all those things. I will say they are using, because they are using tabless cells. Again, if you want to reach, you can always go in Google and just search for tabless advantage and tabless cells. Its technology is very difficult to implement, and Tesla is the only one who has pioneered in this. So yeah, like Tesla is totally different in the EV game. The things they do are others are unable to catch. Now, very important concept, SP nomenclature we see in the battery packs, and which we need to know when we design a battery pack. So let's say somebody says, okay, I need a 14S60 configuration or 14S60 BMS for this cell. What does that mean? It means 14S means 14 cells in series, 6 cells in parallel. Now, if my cell has a nominal voltage of 3.7 volt, like here, so 14 cells in series will mean that I need to put 14 in series. That is, nominal voltage of whole battery pack will be 14 into 3.7. So I'll do the calculation. It will come out. Okay. So it is 51.8. Yeah. And similarly, so the nominal voltage of the battery pack will be 51.8. So somebody was asking, like, generally we use 12 volt cells and all. So we just see what user want. We can design 60 volt, 72 volt, 800 volt, whatever you want. You can always design that amount of cells. Now, if he says he wants 6 cells in parallel, that is 6 peak configuration. My one cell has 3.3 ampere hour of capacity. So if I put in parallel, the capacities will add, and that will come 6 into 3.3 ampere hour of capacity. So that will mean 6 into 3.3, that is almost 20 or 19.8 ampere hour of battery. And if I need to do a back of mind calculation, what is the watt hour capacity of my battery? What I'll do is I'll just multiply voltage by this ampere hour. 51 point. So that turns out to be 1025 watt hour, or we have a 1.1 kilowatt hour battery pack. So that's how you design a name battery pack. Okay, thanks for the calculation. Now, why it is important for you is when you buy a BMS, you need to make sure that that BMS is compatible to this configuration. You will always read the compatibility of the configuration on BMS. It can be a 7S3P BMS, it can be a 9S BMS, 10P, any BMS it can be, or it can support that number of cells in series and parallel. So let's do an activity. Let's try to find configuration which will be required for a LFP chemistry cell, which I have. So this was for LFP chemistry. Let's do for LFP chemistry. I'll highly appreciate if you all will do it along. So it's a very famous cell, FB Tech. Like if you in India, if you deal in batteries, you know Bach and FB Tech are the two which are generally used, at least in the northern side. Uh, okay. So for this, so my user has told me, won't it be 3.7 into 6? Okay, you are talking here. No, it wo it won't be 3.7 to 6 because 14 cells are in series. It will be 14 into 3.7. Okay, for parallel. See, 3.3 na. This 3.3 ampere hour is the capacity. Capacity adds in parallel. Uh, that voltage adds in what is the series? I told you I showed you that example of tanks wherever they were in same voltage, water tanks. So I told you that in series this voltage adds and in parallel the capacity adds. So what you will do is you will always look for the nominal voltage. The nominal voltage you want, you will put that much cells in series, and ampere hour capacity you want, you will put that much cells in parallel. I hope that clears it out. Uh, okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So let's construct. Let's say I am a battery pack integrator, and somebody has asked me to make a, LFP based battery pack, uh, which has 1 kWh of capacity. Let's say scooter manufacturer has asked me. So what I'll do is I'll open a data sheet of a LFP battery, and I'll start looking at two parameters. One is the nominal voltage, other is the nominal capacity. So as I can see, the nominal voltage is 3.2 volts. So let's do it along. Let's give configuration to a user who wants a 1 kWh of battery in LFP chemistry. Now what the user will do, he will just say that make me a LFP cell. You need to figure out which cell, and I choose this FPTech cell because it's easily available. I look at this. I'll first look at the nominal voltage of the cell. So nominal voltage of the cell is 3.2 volt. I'll name it as nominal voltage. Then I look at the capacity of the cell. It is 6000 mAh, or I can write it as 6 Ah. Now, to make this cell, I need to ask the user which motor or controller it is using. Whether he is using a 48 volt motor controller or a 60 volt motor controller. I need to ask him. So next question I'll ask him, okay, you told me the requirement. You now need to tell me what is the voltage rating of that. So let's say they are using a 48 volt motor and controller. So what I'll do is I'll try to find that number of cells which will give me 48 volt configuration. So let's say I have 48 volt nominal, I want to make battery pack. So I need to use X number of cells, and each cell has a 3.2 volt of nominal voltage. So my number of cells will be 48 by 3.2. And that will come out to, yeah. So that comes out to be 15 cells. So I will use 15 cells in series. So I have 15 as configuration. So like what if it was not perfectly 15, it was something like 14.8 or 15.2, you would have taken a higher voltage. You would always want a higher voltage than what is recommended. So it would have become something like not 48, 51 volt or 49 volt depending on the cell, or 50 volts. So yeah, here we were lucky that everything was exact. Now I want 60. Now this is 15s cell. So I know this is my 48 volt battery pack nominal voltage, but I need to know capacity, and I know that my capacity total 1 kWh capacity is equal to nominal voltage into the capacity of the pack. Okay, somebody has put something. Okay, okay, people are voting. Okay, I'll take it out later. Into capacity of pack. Now that is in AH. Now what I'll do is I'll find capacity of pack, which I'll do is I'll divide 1 kilowatt hour by 48. So 1 kilowatt hour is 1000 watt hour. That is 1000 by 48. That will give me, yeah, 21 it's showing. So it will give me, it is 20.88. So I round off and took it more number of, because at least I need to give 1 kilowatt hour of capacity. So 21p. So that will be how much? 15s 21p configuration. Yeah, there's a mistake. Yeah. Yeah, there's a mistake. Mhm. Okay. Yeah, there's a mistake. It's not 21p. So capacity should be 21 Ah. Now this 21 Ah is made from lot of cells, and each cell has 6 Ah of capacity. So y into 6 Ah. Now number of cells I require is 21 Ah by 6. Just gives me almost, you need to use 4 cells. So my configuration will be 15s4p. Yeah. So yeah, somebody wrote that, and that's the right answer. We will be requiring 15s4p configuration for that. So again, I'll repeat the steps. You need to know what is the capacity of the pack you want to make. You need to know nominal voltage of the cell, capacity of the cell. You need to know motor and controller ratings. Based on that, you will know how much cells you want in series, how much nominal voltage you want to make. Based on uh, kilowatt hour, you will find how much is the capacity of the pack. And when you find the capacity of the pack, you will find that how much cells in parallel will make that capacity. So that's how you will do calculation for finding the number of cells. So these will be 60 cells, 15 in series, 4 in parallel, 60 cells configuration you will get. And you can always, cross verify this calculation by seeing how much is the water capacity of one cell if it is given in data sheet, and just multiply by 60. It should come to nearly 1 kilowatt hour, and that will come for this case. So I hope that is clear, and let me know if you have any doubts in this calculation. I'll move forward. So that's how you will design a what do you say, cell, a battery pack. And now I'll touch upon SCM versus PCM configuration. Again, it's a very important concept if you are designing a battery pack. What is SCM? What is PCM? SCS is series connected module, and PCM is parallel connected module. So what does that mean? So if somebody says I have 3S 2P configuration or 2P 3S configuration, like what do you think? We should go for 3S 2P or 2P 3S? Because both are the same. Okay. So in 3S 2P means, okay, no, yeah, both are same, but we'll prefer 2P 3S. I'll tell you why. So what happens in 3S 2P? You first stacks 3 cells in series, then you stack these 2 branches in parallel. So first you will make one branch of 3 cells in series, then you will stack 2 such branches in parallel. In 2P 3S, what happened? You will first stack one branch of 2 cells in parallel, then you will put them in series. Okay. So I'll come to that. So this configuration is generally recommended. Reason why it is recommended, you can see when I am doing this configuration, I am getting an extra branch in between. Like when I connected cells first in parallel, then in series, I'm getting extra branch in series. Now what will happen here, this V1 and V2, because they are connected, they will always be equal. But here it will not be the case. Here V1 and V2 will not be equal. So what will happen is, in this case, you won't require much balancing circuits. Your cells will always be balanced in the similar branch. So if you have more cells, more such intermediate connection will be there, which will balance all of the what do you say all the cells. So you need lesser balancing circuit. Also, you need lesser voltage sensor from BMS. Why you need lesser voltage sensor from BMS? Let's say I have a BMS. I'll need 6 voltage sensors here. One for here, one for here, such that. But here I only need 3 because I knew voltage of this and this both are equal. So I'll be just using 3 voltage sensors. So that's why we generally prefer parallel connected series module, or PCM we say, and that is a better configuration. Like even if people connect parallel connected module, they generally name it as 3S2P, which is not right, but you should just ensure that it's first parallel connected then series, and even if they name as 3S2P, yeah, okay, I hope that's clear. If one fails in first case, it would forfeit cause. Like if one fails, even in the second case you will have to remove the pack, because reason, because you want certain nominal voltage to be made, and here if if this fails, you won't be able to supply that nominal voltage, and there will be a circulating current. Like here the voltage will be high, here it will be low, so current will flow and it can lead to short circuit. So anyways, you have to disconnect the circuit in both the cases. Next is the connectors and spot welding in case of what do you say, the battery packs. So in battery packs, we use LEGO or PCB connectors. PCB connectors, the LEGO connectors are the most commonly used. They are like LEGO blocks. You put cells and you connect such that in this way to connect the cells. And like in the PCB connectors, you have single cell PCB. Like there is one cell, and above that you have a PCB. So for each cell you have a PCB, and you connect through PCBs. It is not very much used. We generally use this LEGO type connectors to connect the cells. So you can see the cells are connected. There's a BMS or PCM. It's basically a PCM. I'll tell you what is the difference between two. And yeah, that's how battery pack is. So how do we connect the cells in series or parallel? We use what is called as nickel strip. So you can see here, every cell is connected to series or parallel through this nickel strip, and this is being spot welded. So you see these spot weldings are being done. So you do 2 or 4 spot weldings because you want some kind of redundancy. Like if one spot fails, at least current should flow from other spot, and that's what we use for the lithium battery packs. But there are some inherent issues with nickel, like heat generation issues. I don't remember its thermal conductivity and all, but it tends to heat, and if there is a thermal runaway, it can damage the pack. So what we do is we not only use like this nickel strip, we also have something called a sigma clad. So some higher battery packs where you need to ensure good thermal performance, you use sigma clad. It's a alloy of stainless steel, copper, and nickel alloy, and some it's more expensive than nickel strip. And this is how you weld. These are spot welding machines. They weld, and you make this kind of series parallel connections. You all can see these cells are in parallel. All of these are in same potential, and it's a parallel connected series module. You can see there is a line going in between, so that the voltages of each cells are balanced. Uh, some people do, if you have a big battery pack manufacturing setup, you may need a automatic CNC based spot welding machines that does everything on its own. Earlier I showed you a manual. Some people have manual, some have automatic. We were planning to buy a manual because we had a low requirement. Just last thing I'll cover before I'll jump into question answer, and we can then sign off this session. People sometimes ask like why nickel strip is first used at first place if it has heat generation issues, and if we are using in something which is very thermally sensitive, which can catch fire. Reason we use because it has high tensile strength. It can absorb the shocks and vibrations which we get in battery pack when they are deployed in electric vehicles. So that's why we use nickel strip. Also, it has good conductivity. Like connection won't break and it will give mechanical strength. I'll cover rest things later. Let me know if any doubts and we'll complete this session. I think we started at 11:45, so it's 1:45, 1:50, and then I'll have last session 3 to 5. Let me know any doubts.
Sir, this is Digvijay.
Okay. Yes, sir. Let me know.
That LEGO, what you told,
Mm-hmm.
LEGO arrangement with LEGO blocks.
Yeah.
After that also you need to do spot welding, or in that there is arrangement.
No. You need to do spot welding separately. I have a video which will show how battery pack manufacturing happens, and I'll play that will clear your doubts. But yeah, we do spot welding later.
Okay.
Yeah. It's basically because you don't want any undue tensile strength on spot weld, so that's why you do it later. Because if you will first spot weld, then it can break the connection. Okay,
Okay.
somebody has doubts. I hope that clears, sir. We can use LEGO connectors with. Yeah, I think people are using 3D printing is very much in use nowadays, and people are doing a lot of stuff. I think people are making. I don't know what material they are using. It has to be some material which is kind of FRP, like fire resistant, and yeah, we can use. But bulk of them comes from China. They make in huge quantity so that per unit rate is very low. And also, I wanted to know, like, when you all want me to start the next session? Is it at 3? Is it at 3:30? Or what are you like? I don't know, ma'am. Like Ruchika, ma'am, how should we proceed?
Yes.
Like, when should we have next session? At 3, 3:15, or what you recommend?
I think 3 is fine because you need 2 hours, so we can finish with the last session around 5.
Okay. Okay. Let's keep it at 3. And what we can do is we can quickly go for a lunch break. I'll keep half an hour at the end for question and answer so that I can answer your queries. And I know many of the things are not covered in battery because it's a very very big topic. Like it takes time, so that's why we have kept the advanced FTP also. I'll cover remaining aspects in that also. We will shortly communicate in the group, WhatsApp group you are. I'll request all of you who are not in the WhatsApp group to kindly join because I'll be there and maybe I'll able to take up your doubts there also, and we can communicate there also. So yeah, I think let's meet at 3 and we will take up doubts at that time also at the end of the session. Okay, I think ma'am we can end. Everyone can go for a lunch.
Thank you, Bhanu. Thank you, all the participants, and let's meet exactly at 3. Thank you.
Okay,
Okay.
bye.